Tonight, the On the Infield crew is headed to the Tolma Speedway in Bordertown to bring you the 2005-2006 South Australian 360 cubic inch Sprint Car Championship. So we have around about 15 of these magnificent race cars here in the pit area to contest the event here tonight. And one driver that'll be worth keeping an eye on is two-time and defending state champion Craig van der Stel. And Craig, tonight looking for 3 wins in a row. What do you think of your chances?
Well, I should hope we'd think, I think we should finish top 5. If we can win it again, it's a huge bonus. But you got to wait and see how it all unfolds and how the night turns out.
Now, you've been driving the 372 cubic inch car most of the season. You've only had one outing in this car. What's it like to adapt between the 360 and the 372?
It's not too bad. The weight difference is a fair bit. The car sort of reacts a fair bit more to the holes in the track, and they sort of, you can sort of drive them a little bit harder, but yeah, it's not a huge difference. You just got to get used to the front wheels not wanting to dance around, it's a good feeling. So yeah, it's not too bad.
Now, the Tolma Speedway here, is it one of your favourites? And tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it's a good little track. We've been coming here for a few years now. Also with the V6 Sprint when we were racing that. We seem to have a reasonable run here. We've sort of just got to string the laps together and see what unfolds.
Now tonight you're driving for car owner Jeff Hills. You've got a great deal going there with him, haven't you?
Yeah, Jeffrey gives me a great car to drive. Pretty lucky actually to be able to run the car. There's not very many people around that will give you something like this and let you sort of go out and race it, and there's not many people around that will do that, so it's pretty good.
Well, thanks for joining us here tonight, and all the best for the heats and the feature tonight, and we hope to see this 31 car in victory lane again.
Yeah, let's hope so. Thank you very much.
There's Craig van der Stel, one driver to keep an eye on tonight as we bring to you the 2005-2006 South Australian 360 cubic inch championship.
So Daryl Guerin and Phil Down to lead them in here in heat race number 1. And poor old Daryl Guerin's gone nowhere on the start and dropped right back to the tail of the field. So our race leader is the 34 of Phil Down out of Melbourne. In the second spot, the 79 of Harold Brennan Jr. out of Mildura. He's about to be put under some serious pressure from the 31 of van der Stel. In fact, van der Stel now runs in the second spot as he goes past the 79. So it's Craig van der Stel in position number 2. Our race leader is still Phil Down in car number 34. Phil Down having his second run here at the Tolma Speedway, visited this track a couple of seasons ago, so he has a little bit of track experience behind him. But Craig van der Stel has run at this track on a number of occasions, so you have to work very hard to keep van der Stel at bay here in heat race number 1. Over 8 laps. As we mentioned earlier, Craig van der Stel, the defending and 2-time South Australian 360 cubic inch championship, won those events at Waikerie and also Murray Bridge over the last 2 seasons. So van der Stel, one of South Australia's best 360 cubic inch pilots, as he charges down the back straightaway. Phil Down in car number 34 continues to lead on. Van der Stel runs a little high there in the middle of turn number 3 and 4, dropped a couple of car lengths as they put a lap down on Daryl Guerin out of Broken Hill. It's good to see Guerin even out on the racetrack. Dropped a couple of cylinders in his Maxwell Motors power plant during hot laps, and just to make the start of this particular heat will be valuable for him come the A main time when he's able to gain some points here in heat race number 1. But it's still Phil Down who leads in the 34. The Victorian doing a pretty good job, but van der Stel now looking very racy in the second spot as he looks to the inside in turn number 1 and he makes the move. So van der Stel, our new race leader. Then it's the 34 of Phil Down back there in third spot out of Mildura. It's still Harold Brennan Jr. in car number 79 as they charge past the checkered flag. Van der Stel the winner. Second will go to Phil Down. Third to Harold Brennan Jr. and fourth spot to the 42 of Jamie Hendry. So heat race number 2 coming up very shortly, but there's heat race number 1 winner, the 31 of Craig van der Stel out of Mount Barker. Heat number 2 now on the racetrack. Victorian Darren Hickman and also John Stewart lead them in. Oh, contact there in turn number 1 and 2. It looks like it may be the 28 of Darryl Wright and also the 15 of the Victorian Bill Fraser out of Terang in Victoria. So both cars will be out of this restart with extensive front end damage. So Darren Hickman will lead them in out of Bendigo. In the second spot, the 15 of John Stewart as he charges down the back straight away. Third is Mark Caruso. And in the fourth spot, former South Australian 360 cubic inch champion Gary Chippendall out of Victoria. And Chippendall now starting to make his way through this field in car number 43. He now runs in third. John Stewart, the local Bordertown-based race team, in the second spot. Oh, the great move there from Mark Caruso. He's got third spot back. Oh, hip and shoulder there from Gary Chippendall. An aggressive move down there in turn number 1. So Chippendall makes his way back to third, but it's still Darren Hickman, who's in fact the defending South Australian Super Sedan champion, but has stepped up into the sprint cars this season. John Stewart having a great drive back there in the second spot. Drove to a career best 4th at Speedway City a couple of weeks ago. So John Stewart in great form in his second season of sprint car racing. He bought the number 15 Maxim. Third spot is still Chippendall. Then it's Mark Caruso in car number 33. Our race leader is still Darren Hickman. He's having his first run here at the Tolma Speedway, and he's checking out in car number 40. The second and third spot is where the main emphasis is between John Stewart and also Gary Chippendall. Chippendall, of course, a former state champion. In fact, won it at this track 3 seasons ago. But he can't quite get past the 15 of John Stewart, who's running a very good line around his home track here at the Tolma Speedway in Bordertown. He's running right around the gutter, making the track, making it very hard for Chippendall to go past. And as we speak, in fact, he makes a mistake on the exit of turn number 4, ran a bit wide, and Chippendall, a wily veteran, didn't need a second invitation and takes over that number 2 spot on the racetrack. But Darren Hickman has charged a heat victory there. In heat number 2, Chippendall in for second, John Stewart third, Mark Caruso in 4th. So great drive there from Darren Hickman out of Bendigo, heat number 2 winner.
I'm standing here with first season driver Jamie Hendry. And Jamie, welcome to the 360 class. Why did you get involved?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. 360 sprint cars, mate, when the first, the initial class was set up, it was always a dream of mine to get into it. And as soon as that happened, mate, we were in there straight away. So as soon as the class kicked off, mate, I was always going to be there.
You've only driven the car on 4 occasions or 4 official race meetings. What's it like to actually drive one of these cars?
Oh, it's amazing, Phil. I've touched base with you before about it, but there's nothing quite like driving a sprint car. I mean, pretty awesome sort of machine, and probably one of those things where you just want everyone to be able to have a bit of a go at it, mate, at some stage.
Now, as I mentioned, you've only had 4 appearances in the car, but one of those was the World Series sprint cars, and what happened there?
Mate, best night of my life. Basically midweek, was at home with the old man sitting in the shed having a few quiet beers, and he sort of said to me, mate, we should run World Series this week. I sort of looked at him like he was stupid, but sure enough, mate, we had a crack at it, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. To be racing with guys like Brooke Tatnell, Max Stumsley and co, just phenomenal. And even more so to make Yay Main, like we did, was just a wonderful experience.
Now, we've got some good cars here tonight, a lot of good drivers, a lot of people that I've known for a long time. They're a great group of guys here in the 360 ranks, aren't they? Oh,
they are. The camaraderie between everybody is just fantastic. The Burford guys, unfortunately not here tonight, but have been absolutely fantastic. Craig Vanderstel, always happy to help out. Even Bill Fraser next to us here when we're at Murray Bridge, happy to help as well. Daryl Gurin again. There's just no qualms with any of the guys, and you know, if there's ever any issues, you can go speak to any of the guys, and they're more than happy to help.
Now, the Tolma Speedway, you've never driven anything here before. Have you had a look at the racetrack?
Yeah, I have, mate. I've been out and had a look, and seems to be a tight little racetrack, so I don't know, we'll have to see how we go again. As long as we can bring the car back in one piece, I'll be happy, and anything after that, well, we'll see how we go.
Well, thanks for joining us here tonight on the infield, and we'll just see this number 42 car come feature time.
Thanks, Phil. We'll be trying our best. Thanks.
As you can see, the lights just coming into effect here at Bordertown. Great conditions for sprint car racing. Out of turn number 4, we're green. Into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time. It's car number 43 of Gary Chippendall, who will lead them down the back straight away. There's a 31 of Vanderstel in the second spot. It'll be car number 22 of Chad Ely, a second season campaigner. Then we've got the 42 of Jamie Hendry, the 15 of John Stewart, also the 96 of Daryl Guerin. A big field of 360s here in heat race number 3. There's the 43 of Gary Chippendall, who leads. The only 2 state champions in the field run 1 and 2 at the moment. Vanderstel and Chippendall, both former winners of this event. As they head down the back straight away through turn number 3, and as you can see, the track starting to slicken off a little bit through that part of the racetrack, but it's still Gary Chippendall, Craig Vanderstel, Chad Ely, then the 42 of Jamie Hendry rounding out the top 4. As one of the cars looks like he may have spun down there in turn number 4, was able to keep the car going. You can see the big puff of dust on the infield there once again there in turn number 2 as well. Looks like the 42 of Jamie Hendry may have looped it on the exit of turn number 4. Vanderstelt looking to the outside. Chippendale in the 43, running right around the bottom. The yellow lights are out. So on the restart it'll be Gary Chippendale, Craig Vanderstelt, Chad Ely, the top 3, as Vanderstelt goes right to the top side of the racetrack. During this event last season, he earned the nickname of King of the Boards, and he's showing why he likes to run around the top side. Vanderstelt looks to the inside of Chippendale. He's got the move this time. Chippendale bouncing his way across the infield. He's able to keep the car running, but he's dropped a couple of spots. George Stewart now runs in the second spot. I think Chippendale may have recovered for third as he dices for that particular spot through turn number 3 and 4. Action of plenty here in heat race number 3 of the 360 sprint cars, as car number 15, Bill Fraser out of Terang in Victoria, now runs in 4th. Then it's the 22 of Chad Ely. Rounding out the top 5, Ely now looks to the inside of Fraser in contact. Fraser's up and over in turn number 4. A big accident there. As you can see, Chad Ely looked to the inside and right rear made contact with the left rear of Bill Fraser and up and over in spectacular fashion there in turn number 4. So on the restart, minus the 15 of Bill Fraser, who's had a shocking night. Didn't even make turn number 1 in the earlier heat after contact with Darryl Wright. So he's out of competition for the evening. Vanderstelt now leads by quite a margin over John Stewart in second spot. Then it's Gary Chippendale, Darryl Guerin, then the 22 of Chad Ely, and the 42 of Jamie rounding out the field. As you can see, John Stewart may be holding the rest of the pack up here. Chippendale in third. Chad Ely trying to find his way past the 43 of Chippendale. Then it's Darryl Guerin, and the best seat in the house goes to the 42 of Jamie Hendry. He's sitting back there looking at the action in front of him. But have a look at Vanderstelt. He's checked out here in heat number 3 of the South Australian 360 cubic inch Sprint Car Championship, being brought to you here at the Tolma Speedway as the yellow lights are out. And the checkered flag for the 31 of Craig Vanderstelt. Heat race number 4, the final heat of the night now on the racetrack. Mark Caruso leading him down to the back straight for the first time. And that's the 28 of Darryl Wright out of Murray Bridge. Darryl Wright, normally runs the 372 cubic inch ranks tonight, stepping into the 360 to have a go at trying to win the South Australian title here tonight. But it's the 33 of Mark Caruso who leads, former South Australian go-kart champion. Out in front of, we've got a car spinning down there in turn number 4. It may be the 79 of Harold Brennan Jr. collected by the 34 of Phil Down. As you can see, the left front damage on the immaculate number 34, and he'll be out of this one. Also the 99 of Josh Roos also spinning to avoid the contact. So it'll be Mark Caruso to lead them in. 28 of Darryl Wright in the second spot. Then the 79 of Harold Brennan Jr., the 40 of Darren Hickman, and the 99 of Josh Roos having his second ever run in a sprint car out of Broken Hill in New South Wales. But it's the 33 of Mark Caruso who leads in the Maxim chassis, but now looking to the outside in car number 28 is Darryl Wright, and what a move from Wright out of turn number 4, but it won't count as we've got 3 cars precision parked down there in turn number 3. So Mark Caruso reinstated to the lead. So it's Caruso, Darryl Wright, then it's Darren Hickman. Oh, Caruso spun it down there in turn number 2. The track really getting slick now. It's catching a few of these drivers out. So Caruso now goes to the tail on the restart. So Darryl Wright now inherits the lead. Darren Hickman in the second spot. Then it's Josh Roos, Mark Caruso, and the 79 of Harold Brennan Jr. So Darryl Wright, will his experience come into play here on the slick racetrack? Been driving sprint cars for quite a few seasons now. Former V8 Dirt modified driver. Turned his attention to sprint cars around about 6 or 7 seasons ago. In fact, he spun it down in turn 3 and 4 as well. But Darryl Wright this time will go to the tail. And Darren Hickman, who started at the tail of the field here, has now made his way to the front due to all the stoppages. Darryl Wright now looking at the outside, passes 3 cars in one move down there in turn number 1 and 2, so he's got back to second. So the damage hasn't really been that bad for Darryl Wright. He's only really dropped 1 spot. But Darren Hickman is the big winner out of this one in car number 40 out of Bendigo. He leads. Darryl Wright is in the second spot. Then we go back to Mark Caruso in car number 33. Then it's the 79 of Harold Brennan Jr. and the 99 of Josh Roos out of Broken Hill. So our race leader really has checked out here in car number 40, the Maxim chassis, doing very nicely for Darren Hickman here in heat number 4, the final heat of the South Australian 360 Sprint Car Championship. As you can see, our race leader is out of picture. The 28 of Darryl Wright is the second spot. There's our race leader in turn number 4, doing a great job. In only his first season of sprint car racing, has run about 4 meetings prior to this one. So relative newcomer to the 360 sprint car ranks, although a very competitive super sedan racer over many seasons. As he charges down the back straight away, throttle control really needed in these conditions. Need to keep the car as straight as possible. As you can see, running right above the slick spot there in turn number 4, where that black race line is. That is the real tricky spot to run through. Be looking for that heavy dirt to put that right rear into, to be able to get some grip around this 360 metre venue here at Bordertown. As a checkered flag comes out for Darren Hickman. Second will go to the 28 of Darryl Wright. So the cars in there, rows of 2 for the 2005-2006 South Australian 360 cubic inch Sprint Car Championship final. On the front row is Gary Chippendale, Craig Vanderstelt, Chad Ely, John Stewart, Darryl Wright, Phil Down, Mark Caruso, and the 42 of Jamie Hendry round out the first 4 rows of this field for the 2005-2006 South Australian 360 cubic inch Sprint Car Championship. We're green into turn number 1 for the first time, and Vanderstelt got a great start. We've got a car in the wall down there in turn number 1. It's the 42 of Jamie Hendry. So Jamie Hendry in the wall in turn number 1 will bring out the caution with a snapped rear axle due to the contact with the concrete. So on the restart, minus Hendry this time, it's the 43 of Gary Chippendale. He got the best of the start. Oh, we've got contact further back, and now it's the 15 of John Stewart who has spun it out down there in turn number 2. The restart, once again, it's the 43 of Chippendale, but around the outside, the 31 of Craig Vanderstelt, side by side down the back straight away. But it's Gary Chippendale who lead through turn number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for the first time. 1 lap down, 24 still remaining for Gary Chippendale, Craig Vanderstelt. Then it's Chad Ely, who's having one of the best nights of his sprint car career, back there in the 3rd spot. Then it's car number 28 of Darryl Wright in 4th. But it's the 43 of Gary Chippendale, already a feature race winner here at the Tolma Speedway during his career. In the 5th spot there, we saw the 34 of Phil Down. He's having a good night here tonight as well. But it's Gary Chippendale. As you can see, the track well and truly is going to go slick and dusty here, with the still 22 laps remaining here in this feature event. Gary Chippendale, can he hold out Vanderstelt? In fact, no, he can't, as Vanderstelt makes the pass for the race lead in turn number 3 and 4. So Craig Vanderstelt, our new race leader, in car number 31, the Jeff Hill's own cool chassis, working very nicely indeed. Second spot in car number 43 is Gary Chippendale out of Victoria. Then it's Darryl Wright in car number 28. As you can see now, Phil Down and Chad Ely battling it out for 4th and 5th on the racetrack, and now Phil Down takes over that position as Chad Ely slowly works back through the pack. Car number 40 of Darren Hickman, who was the top qualifier going into the A-dash, but spun out and was unable to finish that A-dash. He's looking from top qualifier right down to position number 11. So he's got a lot of work to do in car number 40. But it's still the 31 of Craig Vanderstelt who leads. As you can see, that car very smartly turned out, one of the best 360 cubic inch sprint cars in Australia. That car owned by Jeff Hills, and Craig Vanderstelt has the pleasure of piloting the race car on Saturday nights. But it's still Vanderstelt and the 43 of Chippendale. As you can see now, Darryl Guerin has gone a lap down. He was a car that spun earlier, and our race leaders were able to pick him off. So he's already a lap down in car number 96. Darryl Guerin in his 3rd season of 360 sprint car racing, not having the best of nights. So on the restart, Vanderstelt will lead. Chippendale in the 2nd spot. Then the lap car of Darryl Guerin. In 3rd is the 28 of Darryl Wright. Then it's Phil Down, Darren Hickman. Then the 33 of Mark Caruso. Then we go back to the 15 of John Stewart, but it's still car number 31 of Vanderstel who leads. Then it's the 43 of Chippendale back there in the second spot. The 28 of Darryl Wright starting to progress forward. He's now looking like the tail tank of the 43 of Gary Chippendale. In fact, the 43 is relegated back one spot as Chippendale now back into third. So Darryl Wright is our new second place runner. And then immaculate number 28 Eagle Chassis. So out in front is the South Aussie out of Mount Barker. Then it's the Murray Bridge pilot Craig Vanderstel. Then the Victorian Chippendale. Then the Victorian Phil Down. So it's great to see the South Aussie and Victorian rivalry here tonight during the South Australian Championship. As you can see, the track now very black indeed, so these drivers will be struggling for traction. Quite a unique racetrack here at Bordertown. It's very tight and very narrow, but these sprint cars were able to negotiate it pretty well. As you can see, Vanderstel has a very comfortable lead at the moment. Darryl Wright still sitting back there in the second spot. Doesn't quite have the hot setup at the moment, as Daryl Guerin has brought down the 15 of John Stewart. As Stewart was trying to lap Daryl Guerin there in turn number 4. On the restart once again, Vanderstel to lead away. Then it's Darryl Wright. Then it's Gary Chippendale, Phil Down, Darren Hickman. So the 3 Victorians running 3rd, 4th and 5th at the moment. In fact, now Hickman looking to the inside there of Phil Down. Couldn't quite make the move there in turn number 4. That bright yellow race car, very distinctive on the track. Darren Hickman out of Bendigo, one of the most likeable and approachable sprint car drivers. Have a lot of time for Darren Hickman. He was one of South Australia's, or one of Victoria's best, I should say, in the Super Sedan division. Of course, won the South Australian title last season. It's good to see him stepping up to the elite level here in the sprint cars this season. But it's still Craig Vanderstel who leads. Darryl Wright in the second spot, as it has been for most of this event. Chippendale still runs in third. As we follow that battle of Phil Down and Darren Hickman. Forget about Vanderstel, he's checking out here. Second spot is still the 28 of Darryl Wright. He's pretty comfortable back there. As you can see, that Hickman's car just did not want to turn there in turn number 1 and 2. The car is very tight in these slick conditions. But Vanderstel really has got that car set up very nicely indeed. This is a very typical Bordertown racetrack. It normally goes slick when the sprint cars visit this track. They only come here once a year. It's a bit of a treat for the fans here in the Tatiara region of the state, as we've got a couple of cars spun down there in turn number 4. One of those cars was a 99 of Josh Roos. As we're racing once again on this restart, it's still Vanderstel. This is exactly what Darryl Wright needed. He was right on the tail tank of Vanderstel when the yellow came out. But Vanderstel's been able to open up that lead by about 2 or 3 car lengths already after one circulation of the Thomas Speedway. As we look further back, there's John Stewart in car number 15, the immaculate looking black, silver and red race car. As the yellow lights are out once again, the 99 of Josh Roos is once again spun down there, and this time in turn number 2. So on the restart once again, it's Vanderstel. This race has taken a long time to complete. 25 laps, a grueling journey around this very tight and demanding racetrack. But it's still Vanderstel who leads. Second is still Darryl Wright. Then we go back to Gary Chippendale, Phil Down. Then it's the 40 of Darren Hickman. Then it's the 15 of John Stewart. As you can see, Vanderstel just tiptoeing that race car through turn number 3 and 4. By this stage, the tyres will be getting very second hand. Also, the drivers will be getting very tight. A very physical sport, this driving sprint cars for 25 laps continuously. Class here has been driving sprint cars since the year 2000, so in around about his 5th or 6th season of sprint car racing, and in that time he has won quite a few feature events and is emerging as one of South Australia's stars in the sprint car division. As you can see, very precise on the steering wheel there in turn number 2. He's about to put a lap down on Daryl Guerin in car number 96. Guerin, as I mentioned before, has had a terrible night here tonight, but he has persisted with it. Vanderstel is in cruise mode at the moment, making it look very easy indeed. Just rim riding this race car around this venue. Car looks very nicely set up. Darren Walsh, the crew chief, has done a great job in setting up this car tonight, along with Jeff Hill, was of course the car owner. As our leader is about to put a lap down on, Daryl Guerin is closed right in on this one. White flag out this time by for Craig Vanderstelt as the two cars in front have made contact and Guerin is over. How about that? Two cars our race leader is about to lap have made contact right in front of him. Keep an eye on the yellow and green race cars, and there's Vanderstelt just missing Daryl Guerin well. Vanderstelt one lap from home, almost had the championship taken from him by a couple of lapped cars. Very lucky indeed. Daryl Guerin, bad night, just got absolutely dreadful as he turned the car over there in turn number 1. But our race leader, with only one lap to go now, Craig Vanderstelt will receive the white flag, this time by the number 31 of Craig Vanderstelt. He'll be number 1 for the third time. How ironic that he's got 31 on the race car, a 3 and a 1, and he'll become SA number 1 for the third consecutive year. Out of turn number 4, Craig Vanderstelt is your 2005-2006 360 cubic inch sprint car champion. Second will go to Darryl Wright, and